Hey guys, it's Keeby. I am gonna do a little bit of a different video this time around, and I know I don't make very many videos, but this is more for myself in celebrating that I finally got top 100, like I said I would. I think I said I did. And just kind of talking about what has changed since I've made that Hyunwoo guide that I did maybe a month or two ago when I was Dragon 4. Now, obviously, that Hyunwoo guide, if you haven't read it, go ahead and take a look at it. It's a little bit, I would say it has been received a little bit more differently than I had originally thought. People had taken it as, well, people thought like it was like mostly a poison glass knuckle build, and to be fair, I did include that as my dream path, but the whole guide in itself was supposed to be kind of like a general guide in helping like kind of mechanical skill. And the thing is, I had reached Dragon 4 without knowing a lot of stuff, and now that I'm top 100, I can kind of share what I've done differently. And I was planning to make another guide, but you know, I was like thinking, yeah, let me just make something that's easier to make. Maybe I'll do another guide later. But a lot has changed. So when I had made that guide, I did not. So here's the stuff that I didn't know, and a lot of people kind of emphasize this stuff. So for example, I didn't know when animals first spawn. I still don't know when animals first spawn, actually. I just know that it's near the first night. And I'm talking about bears and gorilla. I know dogs and birds come a little bit earlier. I'm not 100% sure when. Still, even being in the top 100, so you do not need to know that to be top 100. Obviously, it's very good knowledge to know, so it could help you. But I didn't know when they respawn, so now I know that. Okay, so now I had never kept track of animals back when I had made that Dragon 4 guide. So now I know that it's 3 minutes after. So literally the time you kill an animal is when it spawns. So let's say you kill a bear at 2:14. Okay, you just need to keep in track. Okay, 2:14, 2:14. So the next day comes and it's 2:14. That's when the bear comes. It might be a little bit before. I'm not 100% sure. It's a little bit weird how that works, but that's all you need to know for keeping track of animal timers. It's really important to keep track of the bear. Gorilla is alright to keep track of, but it's not quite as important. It's just good for mastery, and maybe if you want a burdock for your soy sauce. And so I didn't know those two things, so basically animal stuff. I had always used the bread seeking, and one of the reasons why I had prioritized the temple start is because I didn't have too many problems with food. I think that food was not too big of a problem, but what had happened was I had realized that bread seeking was kind of a weak aptitude to take, especially when you go into the upper levels of play. It's just like you go to the late game and it's just like, whoa, you had bread? That I have counterattack. Like, counterattack is such a good skill, actually. The biggest change I'd say is that I had taken counterattack, and one of the things that had happened when I had taken counterattack instead of, let's say, bread seeking, is I had went to the temple start like usual, and I would do the same stuff as I usually did, but the thing is, I got a lot of mastery, but my healing was in shambles, and it was getting harder and harder to win because I couldn't find any food. And so what I did was I went to I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start hospital because you get a lot of food there, and hospital start, you know, all you get is the doctor's gown, but I do think that hospital start, it could be worth it if you could find the food. And so I started doing that. And the best thing about the hospital start is you get a lot of mastery because everyone starts hospital. And so more likely than not, Hyunwoo, he will get kicked out of the fucking hospital every fucking time. And it's not that he's like, it's not like it's a bad thing to go to the hospital and get mastery. So what I would usually do is just dogfight, counterattack, and what I do is I run to the school. And the reason why I run to the school is because alcohol is so fucking good. Liquor bread is probably like the most insane early game item ever. I'm not even joking. You get let me just run the numbers really quick. So I believe in the, let me see. It should be in the rule book for. So yeah, so crafting items, rare is +2 EXP, and uncommon is +1. So when you craft liquor bread, you get 5 EXP because you get the soju and then you get the 2 rare EXP from the liquor bread, and so that's 5 EXP. So that is a. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but 5 EXP is a level up from level 1, and depending on how many things you've been doing, you can shoot from level 1 to like almost level 3. It's really insane, and the level advantage is actually really important early game. It's what win trades, and you also get the liquor bread. So the liquor bread is just in itself a very good healing item for the early game. And so what you can do with that liquor bread is try and take the hospital back. Obviously you might not be able to because there's a lot stronger characters early game. So you can just juggle that between the alley, school, hospital, and even town hall is also a good place. You're really trying to get that early Chang Pao. The Chang Pao is a really early rush. It's really good. Uchiwa also very good item to get early game. If there are a lot of people that want Chang Pao, that is when you go metal sheet armor, because metal sheet armor is a very good alternative. It's very fast, and Amazonas is an overall stronger item than Chang Pao, although it does come with the problem of very little healing early game. And counterattack makes up for it, because counterattack, if you get the counterattack off, you get 4 mastery. And 4 mastery, oh god, there's a fucking jet. Anyway, 4 mastery is so much just for fucking getting it off. Like, god, you get 4 mastery just for getting. Like, gosh, and the cooldown is 30 seconds. I can't believe I didn't take mastery before, because it used to be 5. It used to be 5 mastery that you got from counterattack, and it's been getting nerfed over and over. And I'm wondering if it'll get nerfed again. It might, because it's so good. It's just so much better than bread seeking, guys. I think the biggest change I've made is to change counterattack. I think counterattack is just insane right now. Anyway, I wanted to make this kind of vloggy, podcasty video because there's not many people in the top 100 that are of American descent and can kind of like talk about, like, if you go through the top 100 right now, it's like pretty much entirely made of Koreans, and I think there are a lot of people that can get to the top 100. Almost certainly. The top 100 is actually a lot more accessible than you think. It's just a grindy experience. If you can hit Dragon, like I said, like if you can hit Dragon 1, you can get top 100. It's just a matter of how many games you play. And if you look at how many games I've played, it's like a lot. It's a lot. I've played 476 games, which is a lot. And if you look at my stats, they've definitely increased from the Hyunwoo guy that I made back in Dragon 4. And the thing is, when you hit Dragon 1, your win rate is going to actually go up, because now you've become the best of the best. And every game you play, if there's only like a few dragons that are like not even Dragon 1, you're going to win that game, most likely. And it'll kind of buff your stats. And the thing about your stats is, I wouldn't focus too hard on your stats, because your stats are going to tank on your climb. I started off in Wolf 4, I believe, and I believe the thing is, when you start off, it might not be your actual skill level. Your actual skill level when you start rank might be higher, and for me, I think it was about line 1 is when I hit my first wall. So I think that's where my skill level kind of was, and my stats were really, really inflated when I first started ranks, because I mean, I just kept being matched against wolves, foxes, and I won every single game. And I was just like, wow, this game is too easy. I'm just going to do dragon. And, I hit line 1, and there's a lot of opponents trying to get hard for me. You start getting matched against harder opponents that are near your skill level or better. and your stats will tank a lot. And once you become the best of the best, it's just like, all right, well, it's just a matter of who's queuing up and who's going to get bullied by you, and your stats will go up. And so a lot of people, I think if I play like 1,000 more games, obviously I don't even have close to 1,000 games, but if I played like 1,000 games, my win rate is going to be really high. I think it averaged around 25% or maybe higher. Obviously everything's just going to inflate. I think it's just a matter of how many games are you willing to grind up, and if you hit a wall that's probably around your skill level, I mean, it's different for everyone. It's a spectrum, right? So I said I started around Wolf 4, and my actual skill level was around Lion 1 when I first started ranked. I'd say, it could be like, oh, you started in Fox 1 and your skill level's, a lot higher. Who knows? Maybe you started in Lion. Who knows? And I think a lot of ways to get good are just to watch people play at the higher level, and getting top 100 is a lot easier than you might think. It's actually not too hard to get, I think. Granted, you can reach Dragon. I think there's a lot to learn. If you don't have if you're not Dragon quite yet, there's still a lot to learn. I think if you're using an emulator, you better use hotkeys, because they really help. And when I had made that guide, hotkeys were new to me, right? I only use 2 hotkeys still, but they are a huge help. And if the Steam version doesn't allow for like at least 2 hotkeys, oh my goodness. Using only the mouse is so strainful on your wrist. It's like ridiculously annoying to play with just a mouse, and then you can misclick like crazy, and like, gosh. And I think the Steam version is supposed to be in full screen. Oh no, you have to move your mouse so much every single time. So that's one thing I'm hoping they'll do, is allow hotkey usage. If not, then I think my win rate will fall down a bit. So yeah, I think that's about all I had to say about getting top 100. I think top 100 is a lot more accessible than you might think. I think the few things I've learned from being top 100 is the animal control a little bit more. Taking counterattack, of course. I've switched to the hospital start, and the guide I've made, of course, is, Poison Glass Knuckle isn't that great. Or, like, it wasn't the focus of the guide I made. That wasn't the point. But I've retracted to a more stable start in the hospital, and the whole point of the guide was supposed to say that you are I'm probably gonna fast forward this, but like it was supposed to say that Hyunwoo is fucking like very flexible character, and you can go anywhere you want, and that I hope I made that point across to the people who read it closely. Obviously, maybe I didn't, or whatever. Anyway, that's all for the podcast. I didn't have much to say. I just wanted to say a couple things on my mind. And I kind of celebrated with this podcast. I know it's kind of weird, right? I celebrate by making content, but that's just kind of my reward. I get to talk a little bit about myself when I finally achieve something, and hopefully, maybe I'll go for top 50 or something. There's only a month left of this season, by the way. Hoping that it's not going to be ridiculously hard to climb to top 50. Let me see this. So the top 50 right now is 3,870, so I only need like 500 points. Maybe I'll go for 4,000 points, but I don't think I'll go too much further than that. It's a bit of a grinding experience. I did want to talk a little bit about Hyunwoo himself. A lot of people say he's a very weak character. I don't think he's that weak. I think Hyunwoo is... I think Arc Bears do a really good job of balancing the game. I've played so many different competitive games, and like I just get so frustrated with some changes that are made to the games that I play. Oh my goodness, it's so frustrating. But Arc Bears is like probably the best about it. Like honestly, like they have made a very balanced game. I have never seen the game so balanced before. Like I think people say Hyunwoo is weak. I think he's actually fairly strong. Obviously he's not that popular of a character later up into the league, But people like Chobo is number 20, and Chobo has like almost mainly playing Hyunwoo. I don't know if there's any other Hyunwoo players. I've seen Idolmaster play Hyunwoo a bit, but I'm pretty much the only other Hyunwoo main. I think he's as strong as anyone else. I think there's no like super OP character, and I know Lee Dailin is probably the most popular fist user just because, you know, oh wow, I can dodge attacks, oh well, I don't have to worry about stamina. Lee Dailin is a really good character that, you know, you need a lot of bear control, and probably the better bear control you have, the better, more effective she is. Because she can use the flower and the garlic. I think Hyunwoo's like brawler passive is actually a really helpful thing, and you don't have to worry about stamina quite as much as other people. I think I don't really make stamina items quite as much, although I should. There's a lot of things that I have to still learn, and I'm in the top 100 players in the world. That's a pretty big feat. But, you know, it's just a grindy experience, I'd say. I don't think Hyunwoo is quite that weak. Arc Bears are doing a good job. If they buff Hyunwoo, I think I'll be pretty happy. I think his HP is pretty low, but, you know, it's nothing that makes me feel like I'm at a huge disadvantage. And so that's my thoughts on Hyunwoo. And I think that's okay. Now I think that's everything I wanted to say, because I do think that people have been underrating Hyunwoo as a character. I think maybe he's a little bit harder to succeed with, but he can be just as strong as anyone else. And it just depends on how well you play him and your mechanical and reactions, how fast you are, and, you know, those kinds of things, and just kind of your overall experience. I played 400 plus games on Hyunwoo, so I mean, I think the amount of games it took me to get to Dragon 4 is the same amount it took me from Dragon 4 to top 100, so, you know, it does become a little bit grindy in the end, so I'll probably put like a little bit of gameplay here, and that's about all I wanted to say for now.
Do or die. Keep your guard up. Keep your guard. Here comes another fight. Here comes a. Do or... Here comes another fight. Keep your guard up. Do or die. Keep your guard up. Here comes another fight. Do or die. Is this the end? Really? Somebody, answer me!